history has been written.
When Doremus was coming at me the last 50, I knew it was going to be a nail-biting finish.
Doremus with a run.
At that stage, I was trying to move the winning post back to me as quick as I could. When G went up with his hand, I was a little bit sick in the tummy.
It's a photo in the Melbourne Cup.
I actually looked at Johnny Letts and said, "Letsy, what number's in the frame?" He said 3. I said, "You get it."
Who will write the next chapter? Live and exclusive, the 98 Melbourne Cup Day, Tuesday on 10.
There's been fashion and plenty of it here at Flemington, with 75,805 people witnessing a magnificent Amy Victoria Derby Day, and it's about to draw to a close with the Yallumby Stud Stakes, a Group 3 event over 1,400 metres, and I'm happy to say that Peter Woodard from Yallumby Stud has joined us. It must be great to be associated with an event like this, Pete.
Well, it is, Pete. Very exciting day, probably the best race day on the card, and we couldn't be more happier than being involved with the VRC on Derby Day.
You've got a couple of pretty handy stallions, a couple of things that go reasonably quickly. Spartacus, Mukta.
We have Spartacus in particular has settled into his new workload up there on the stud, and he was an absolute speed machine. 3 Group 1s, Mukta 2 Group 1s. Good speed stallions make good stallions.
Finally, I think you tipped us the winner last year of this race. Can you make it 2 in a row?
Well, I'm going to try and keep my record intact. I'm going to go a good one to each way, Classic Day.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Peter, and good luck.
Thank you, Peter.
Peter Woodard from Yallumby Stud. They're filling the gates pretty quickly here for the final event. Just a reminder to you again, our Melbourne Cup preview tomorrow, and we'll be here for all the action on Foster's Melbourne Cup Day. Dan Malicki and Gary Willits with their last-minute thoughts on the last.
Well, I like Bazille Bay, Peter. I've stuck with it. It's drawn wide, but I think it'll get a lovely run. They seem to be going well, the horses up front, so it'll get up there.
And I thought Pleasure Giver had a strong chance. He got too far back last start. All set to go. The last race on Amy Victoria Derby Day 1998. Racing now. Even break, Blazing Steel at the back early. Monet's Cove jumped in front. Rancho Spark ridden hard along the inside to go up and hit the lead now. A little wider was Bazille Bay. Zahiro going forward. Likewise Holtzman, and over on the inside was Classic Day when they'd settled down. A Saboom into about 8 spot around Cut Up Rough and Major Victory. About 2 lengths Inauguration inside Pleasure Giver. A length and a half to Confiscate. 2 to Monopolise. 2 to Litmus. About 4 Galactic Valley and 2 to Blazing Steel. It's about 16 lengths off the lead. 800 to go. Rancho Spark led a length. Bazille Bay. Classic Day 3rd. Monet's Cove is running 4th. Zahiro 3 deep. A length away Saboom. 3 wide around Holtzman and Cut Up Rough on the rails. Then Major Victory before the home turn. Pleasure Giver outside of it from Inauguration, Confiscate, Monopolise, Litmus. 4 to Blazing Steel and Galactic Valley. Into the straight at the 500. Rancho Spark the leader by a length to Bazille Bay. In 3rd spot, Classic Day ridden along, getting off the rails. Monet's Cove outside it, then Zahiro. Cut Up Rough was next. Holtzman, Serpine, Major Victory and Pleasure Giver. Bazille Bay goes up to Rancho Spark at the 200. 2 lengths Classic Day. Then Monet's Cove, Major Victory, Pleasure Giver, but Bazille Bay goes for home, and he's got the last shot to bits. He's careering away from Rancho Spark. Major Victory, Pleasure Giver running home hard late, but Bazille Bay wins it easily. Bazille Bay by 6 lengths. Second home, Pleasure Giver. 3rd, Rancho Spark. Monopolised Maydot Ground, then Major Victory, Classic Day, Litmus. Monet's Cove, Saboom, Zahiro, Blazing Steel next. Then Cut Up Rough, Galactic Valley, Inauguration, Confiscate, and Holtzman dropped right out of it.
Well, a brilliant win. Beautiful ride. I noticed Jim Cassidy early in the race, he was trying to get over and not spend too much petrol, and he just had to kick up for a little bit there, hold his posse, then he dropped back off and had a lovely run then, and he just sat off Rancho Spark, and when he put the accelerator down, the acceleration was there.
120.8, which is only 0.2 outside the track record, and he did it easily, Gary.
Yes, and here it is here, like he's got Rancho Spark well and truly covered. Jimmy just rides hands and heels, just put out the Persuader, and then a lot of these horses have been chasing hard. They sort of dropped off, and Pleasure Giver, by gee, he got home very well. He'd be one to watch the last day in that 1,600 metre race.
Yeah, good win, Bazille Bay. He was unearthed at this carnival last year. He won a restricted grade race by about as far as he did today, but there were some pretty handy horses behind him today.
Oh, too right.
A couple of horses got, well, you would think just too far back, 15 and 16 lengths off the lead in a 1,400 metre race. Surely that's, well, that's a lot of ground to make up.
Oh, yeah, too much. Yeah, here's Bazille Bay arrowed there. Jimmy Cassidy in a light blue cap. Just he might just pull the whip up, just show Bazille Bay the whip, just gave a one there. And away he goes, but very impressive win. Like, he's put about 4 lengths on these horses in the last 200 metres. Very big win.
And the pumper never really got serious, did he?
No, he didn't. No.
Rancho Spark, a good run. He's a little underrated. Rancho Spark has run
very
third.
honest horse. He can, he
made
makes
the
all
play.
the pace.
Monopolise of the horses that got well back to run on. He was probably the best performance. Officially 5th, but he was one that was probably a dozen lengths off the lead before the home turn.
Yes.
Well, here's Jim Cassidy. He had a huge carnival here last year. It's been no different this spring in Melbourne, John Letts. And a horse that's not a Group 1 winner yet, but you wouldn't think it'd be too far away, Bazile Bay.
No, Dan, you know, I brought him back last year, and Jimmy said to me then, he said, this horse is a Group 1 horse. Well, he won a Group 3 today, Jim, but how impressive was he?
Wait till we let him go, mate. He's pretty good this bloke.
You said that last year. You said this is one of the best horses you'd ridden. He's ran 120.8 today, just a tick outside the track record. You could have broke it.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's headwind and everything. He's done the donkey work, sat outside the leader, and, mate, wait till the last day. It'll show.
He's in the last day as well, Jimmy.
Runs in the Emirates Mile, mate.
He's going to be pretty hard to beat, isn't he?
He will for sure.
Yeah, good luck, Jimmy. You're having a great carnival.
Thanks, Johnny.
Johnny Letts there with Jim Cassidy, the man, I suppose, famous overall for his association with might and power, whom we might be fortunate enough to see on the final day of the carnival this year.
Dan, Bazile Bay, that was an incredible run in the Epsom handicap. I've never seen a horse go so fast as what it did early. And like Jimmy, he's got beautiful hands on a horse. He seems to be able to get horses to relax, and that's why might and power goes so good for him. He just seems to be able to get him to relax and produce. But that was a beautiful ride. We've seen some great rides today.
Certainly do. We see the best in horsemanship, the best horses on Derby Day. And Bazile Bay, gee, on the occasions we've been able to see him win so convincingly. It's surprising that he hasn't won a Group 1 as yet, but Jim's pretty confident the next Saturday might well be his day. And he hasn't been drawing good barriers. His last couple, he's been wide. He was 3 and 4 deep at Caulfield last start. It was a good run. Buster Jones won it, and I'd say Buster Jones would be his main opposition next week in the Emirates Classic.
That's right. But it was a very good, as I said, that day in the Epsom, I couldn't believe it. He was that far in front. And
well, he did what Anis Mirabilis did earlier on. He got out about 7 or 8 in front, setting a suicidal pace, and got beaten less, or 2 lengths, or 1.1 lengths was the beaten margin, which was amazing.
Incredible, because the Epsom, it's like riding at Randwick, like riding at Fleming. If you go too soon, you pay the penalty.
And Paul Perry trains Bazile Bay. Paul had a tremendous carnival last year, particularly Flemington.
That's right.
And Bazile Bay again is backed up. Of course, he trains Dantelar as well, who perform well in running just behind the place getters in the previous event, which was a Group 1, the Salinger Stakes.
Yes, and I'd say they'd be thrilled with this crowd today, Dan. They tell me it's up 11,000 on last year, which is incredible.
Over 75,800 people in attendance today, enjoying the conditions, which slowly got better as the day progressed, Tim. But I think it's only a preview for what will be huge days towards the middle of the week. On the last, it's 5, 6 and 12.
All right, thank you, Dan. Yes, 75,000 odd today. We hear 27 degrees on Melbourne Cup Day on Tuesday, a beautiful day, and you'd expect an absolutely crackerjack crowd for Tuesday. Peter Donegan and Jenny Chapman have covered the 400 or 500 metres or so up here in record time. Well done.
Not as quickly as Bazile Bay.
Wasn't that an easy win?
Wasn't ever.
He's
and he
very
did it
good.
again last year.
Well, you said it. If he led, he'd win, and he did.
Yeah, I was a little concerned when he actually sat second early, but the horse settled a lot better today. And we did say 12 months ago that this was a horse of class.
Yeah, and wouldn't blow a candle out, Jimmy, after the race. Yeah. Now, there weren't too many pointers or guides for the Melbourne Cup there today. Peter, first.
Well, Arena and Champagne were both pretty good trials. We still don't know whether Champagne is actually going to run, Tim. Laurie Laxon wants her to run, but he's going to have to talk the owners into it, I think, Jen. And Arena, well, I don't know. I'm still a bit iffy about 3-year-olds running in a Melbourne Cup, but I'm not going to say that John Hawkes is wrong, because he's a great trainer, and I think he regards this horse as a little bit different. He's a real staying type of 3-year-old.
Yes, and it was a great ride today too. I do think it'll be all very interesting when the barrier draws come out tonight and the final field, so it'll depend on that.
Tim, there's been a fair bit of kerfuffle about whether Yorkshire's going to get into the Melbourne Cup field throughout the week, and of course Arena winning today only makes his position worse, because Arena automatically qualifies, goes up into the Melbourne Cup field, and that pushes Yorkshire down one.
Yes, the cat will be thrown amongst the pigeons if he doesn't make it into the field, but we'll investigate that on Tuesday.
Well, the Victoria Racing Club, of course, have their discretionary powers, and they can include any horse in the field they want to, and we'll find out probably in an hour or so as we get the correct weight signal on the last event.
There is the correct weight on the last, and dividends for you shortly. If we don't get them, of course, you'll see them in the news. What impressed you most in the racing today, Jen?
Well, I like the win of Champagne. I thought she was most impressive. Of course, the horse that won the last race too, Brazil Bay, was fantastic. But I just liked her turn of foot there, Tim, and I think she's quite brilliant. Now, I spoke to Greg Hall after the race, and he said if she could do that in the Melbourne Cup, it won't even be a race. But he doesn't know whether or not she can because, you know, it was a bit shorter than the Melbourne Cup.
And you, Pete?
Oh, look, I thought the last winner, looking ahead to next week, I think the Emirates Stakes is going to be a terrific race next week with that horse and also with Buster Jones, who's an up-and-comer.
Yeah, all right. Just a reminder for you too, everyone, you can see the barrier draw for the Melbourne Cup on Sports Tonight. Sports Tonight on at about 11:40 this evening. Peter and Jenny and the team at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for the preview show. Look forward to that. In fact, there it is, 11:40 tonight. You'll see the draw. There's the preview show. The Foster's Melbourne Cup, of course, on Tuesday. Don't forget to join us for that. Then Oaks Day on Thursday, Emirates Stakes Day on Saturday, and we've got ourselves a marvellous week. And of course, Might and Power running on Emirates Stakes Day, which should be fantastic to see.
Yes, that'll be something to see. It'll be good to see what sort of crowd we get there too.
While we have a minute, could I ask you, it may be a bit early to say this, but could he be one of the best ever?
I think he is certainly the best horse since Kingston Town, and I think he compares favourably with Tulloch. I didn't see Tulloch.
No.
The old-timers will tell you Tulloch's probably still a bit better, and I think they're right because he did it over a long period of time. But what Might and Power is doing now, Jen, can only be done by a super horse.
Yes, and he is a super horse, and it's just the way that he does it that everyone loves him. You know?
Yes.
So it'll be great when he goes overseas.
A few seconds left to ask you both. Is it too early to get some thoughts on the Melbourne Cup?
Ladies first.
Well, you know, I've got a bit of a leaning to Faithful Son at this stage, Tim, but I'm going to go back and do some form and have a look at the races today, and we'll see what we come up with.
It can happen between now and Tuesday.
Yes.
You?
I'm going to do exactly the same as you. I'm going to do some form, but I think that Faithful Son is the one to beat as we take a look at the dividends on the last. Brazil Bay 290 and 170. Look the bet of the day. Pleasure Giver 280. Rancho Spark 990. Trifecta 642.60. Quinella $14.50, and the Race to Race double $52.80. We had to wait a while, but a favourite has got home in the final event on the card.
Indeed. All right, well, there you have it. Goodbye from here for today. Please be back here 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning for the best day of racing in Australia. In fact, one of the best you'll ever see in the world. From Tim Webster, goodbye for now.
This much I know. My mother